Welcome to episode 2 of the When Without podcast. I am Bobby.
I am Alex.
And I am Ben.
And we're When Without. And so where did we leave off, Alex, on the last episode?
So the last episode, I said the wrong name. Ben corrected me after the fact. It was not the Chinese restaurant. It was the Cambodian restaurant.
And there's a reason for the misconception. There was a reason for the confusion. Ben, would you like to explain?
Well, it seems like they had like all sorts of food because there was a big sign in front of it that said like Cambodian, Laotian, Thai, Chinese.
Yeah, it was.
It seems like they served all sorts of food.
It was an interesting experience, to say the least. We didn't know that we were going to be going into this restaurant.
No.
So this was kind of like we couldn't get the power to work in our last space.
Yeah.
And so one of our friends that we were like leasing with was like, "Hey, I'll come show you. Like, we got this new abandoned restaurant. It's down the street. It's not far from here. There's a little room upstairs.
Same
that we
landlord.
can practice in. Same landlord.
Yeah.
It's got power.
I think the restaurant closed down because of COVID and they couldn't open back up because there were no tenants that were looking to buy restaurants at that point, you know?
Yeah. I think that sounds about right. So as a kind of recap from last time, we're talking about the beginnings of When Without. This is kind of the summer into fall time frame of 2020. So obviously the world was on fire, and we were trying to find a spot. We linked up with a landlord from our previous band that we had rented with for like a month or two, and we were in the original building that was on the other side of Lowell that we were in with the last band. Power didn't work. It was kind of cramped. We're looking for something else. He presents us with, "Hey, I have another building. Here's the address. Come look at it."
We walked in, and it's just basically what you would think it is. It's a massive abandoned Cambodian restaurant, and
Tables still set up, lights are all off, but like, you know, it's just like one big open. So like it's the building. Sorry, the building is set up like a big square.
Yeah,
it's not like a
it's like a VFW
one with a lot of
almost.
rooms. Yeah, kind of. It was like a big VFW. That's a great
like
way to put
open. It had a stage in the middle, like a big stage in the middle.
Yeah,
looked like you could host some pretty big events in there.
Yeah, but the tables were still set up, chairs there. It looks like someone just shut the lights off like 3 months ago.
It literally looks, I don't know if you guys listening have ever seen the show The Leftovers, or if you've watched some Marvel movies like Thanos' Snap. It looked like there were people in the restaurant working and everything just stopped. People just vanished. Like in the kitchen, there was like large woks full of like oil, like frying oil. Still, just to this day, like not to this day. At the time, just sitting there was like bottles of like Diet Coke, just like half filled. Food, like it was like literally people just disappeared in the middle of working, as you would expect with a restaurant that was just kind of abandoned. There were some gross things around, like
a lot of mouse traps.
That was definitely the first thing we noticed when we walked in. I remember one of the first practices, Alex walked in and we were walking upstairs to the band space and it was like, what was that sound?
I stepped on like, it wasn't like the mousetrap traps, but it was more of the
the sticky traps.
Sticky
ones. Glue
trap.
trap.
I stepped on a glue trap. Thank you. I stepped on a fucking glue trap, and then I couldn't get it off my shoe. Yeah. So I'm just like walking around, and I finally get it off, and that the bottom of my shoe was fucking sticky for like 2 months. After that.
I remember you were walking upstairs, and so there were a lot of mice. Now it was a 2-story restaurant, so the upstairs had a bunch of storage. Yeah. And that's where we practice. So we go upstairs, and there's just like all these very weird things up there. There was like a
very, very weird.
They're just like things collected from over the years, like old pictures, old paintings.
Yeah, one of the
tables and chairs.
So like visually, so you go upstairs, and it's the same footprint as downstairs. Just one big open square room. The main difference being that there's no tables set up. There's basically just this room, and then instead of a kitchen, there's like 3 or 4 storage offices area thingies with no doors, and then there's just the stuff that you guys are talking about, just kind of strewn about. No organizational method to it whatsoever.
It was weird that it was all still there. I mean, there were like car parts up there. Like,
there were car parts.
Stuff that had nothing to do with. I mean, there was like extra chairs, a couple extra tables. It was like an aquarium that they probably used to have set up. But then, there
big
was like,
giant buckets of
there
MSG.
was like a Honda Civic muffler and like a bumper.
Yeah.
And then there was a bicycle.
Yep.
And then there was like really shitty speakers that didn't look like they worked. And then like pipes. And it was just so random.
tea sets. Like he just like random stuff.
Yeah.
And we practiced in this little room. Well, I wouldn't say it was little. It was like
Yeah, it was
20
like
by
there was
20.
like it was probably like an office or something,
Yeah.
you know, and like that's the room we rented out this little section of the building that we split with another band. We were practicing in there.
And we decorated it pretty
Yeah,
nicely.
yeah, it
we
was
had
pretty
some
nice,
like
yeah.
lights up, and we had a little whiteboard that we wrote all our songs on, and it was really cold in there because there was like no insulation. You could literally see through the bricks.
Yeah,
to the
you
outside
could.
world.
Yeah, the
You
walls
could,
were brick, and you could see daylight through the walls
Yeah.
because they were just cracked straight going to the
The
outside.
mortar was just falling apart.
But it was definitely fun because this was like our first consistent practice space. So we
Yeah.
wrote almost every song off of our debut album Sun, which you can listen to on Spotify and Apple Music or wherever you get your music. We wrote almost all the songs there.
Or at least the ideas of them. Like I'd say like half the songs were actually written pretty much front to back, and the other half were like some structures were starting to put into place while we
Yeah.
were there. Like there was
Yeah.
because I mean, also we kind of talked about this recently just while we were hanging. Like we were there for a long time and we didn't
were.
realize it because it was all COVID time. Like we were a band for like over a year.
Yeah, we couldn't play shows, so we were just writing and writing and writing and writing. And
Yeah, because we
It was
wrote
great.
the
There was no
full
pressure.
album's worth
Yeah.
of music in that time, you know,
Yeah.
without playing any shows. Like
Yeah.
by the time we had our first show, we already had like a full like 40 minutes of music or something.
I remember we had a photo shoot there, our first photo shoot. We also like went onto the roof because there was like a window. You can go out into the roof and stuff.
Yep.
And do you guys remember we showed up one day to practice, and our band room door, we had a lot of expensive stuff in there, and so we would lock it naturally. And one day we showed up to band practice, and the door was like broken.
Yeah, like the doorknob is like all like the wood around it is all cracked and fractured, and it's one of those like hollow doors, you know, just a normal
Yeah, if you
domestic
knock
house
on
door.
it, you
Yeah, and it just had the handle with the deadbolt, but it's all like caved in and broken. We're like, what the hell happened? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Is our stuff still in there? Did we get
And-
broken into? Like,
Yeah, so I remember like I'm trying to open it and like the key's all fucked up now because it doesn't the bolt doesn't really go into the wall anymore. And we open the door and like luckily everything is there. So, you know, our drum sets are set up, the other band stuff is there, the PA systems are there. Nothing looks like it's been touched. But we're like, what's going on? So I know what did we text the other band?
Yeah, we texted the other band and we found out basically the landlord had come in and broken into the room because I can't remember why.
So
Forgets-
I remember now.
There was
Did
like
check something?
There were gas pipes in the room or
Yeah.
something. Like he had to check the
Oh,
plumbing or something in the
No, I
room.
think he was showing it to. So there was,
Yeah,
this
that's
was a
what it was,
restaurant.
yeah.
So it's a restaurant, right? So obviously, like we're just kind of making ends meet for them. We know we're eventually going to get kicked out.
Yeah, it
But-
could have been any day. Like
Yeah.
we didn't know if we were gonna. There was no year-long lease. It was like
Yeah.
we could get kicked out tomorrow. Like we had no clue.
It wasn't even month to month. But so the landlord was showing it to a potential person that was going to come in and actually rent it.
Yeah.
And I guess they went upstairs and the guy was like, "Oh, like what's in that room?" And our landlord must have told him, but he wanted to go see it and he didn't have a key, so he just goes. Just fucking kicks it open, like drop. He told me he like drop kicked it open. I'm like, why don't you text us? We'll come
Yeah.
over, give you a key. I don't know, like that's just such a shitty thing.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So that was kind of last.
It felt
straw.
invasive. It felt invasive. We were like, okay, I don't know if I trust this anymore. And then we really stopped trusting the place when we went in one day and it just like reeked of natural gas.
Yeah,
and
it
we were
smelled.
like, do you guys smell that? And we're like, what is that? What is that? So we got on the phone with the landlord and he brought National Grid out and there was a gas leak in the building.
To his credit, they actually solved this within about a half an hour period. Like
yeah,
someone
they did.
was
They
there.
did get the gas shut off pretty fast.
They-
you
I
know?
don't think he
someone
wanted
came
his building
fast,
blowing
so-
Well,
up.
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it probably wasn't for our safety.
I mean, it was really scary though because we almost like went with practice, but like Ben showed up. Me and Alex were like, "Hey Ben, like, do you smell that?" And Ben's like, "Oh shit,
I don't
Yeah,
have a
you're
good.
like,
I
do
don't
you
have
guys
a good
smell
sense of
gas?
smell.
And I'm like, yeah, it smells like gas.
It was bad."
Relying on Ben's nose for that one because we
Yeah.
were like, yeah, we don't smell anything really, but
Well,
it
because
feels off.
the
Yeah.
National Grid guy like brought out like a little wand, which I guess detects gas, and he like took it out, and then he walked in. And he's like, "Yeah, that's a gas leak."
Like, don't
like he
turn
didn't,
on
he
any
didn't
light
need to like
switches.
do too many tests to determine.
It just went like beep beep.
Yeah,
beep,
yeah.
beep,
He
beep,
just
beep.
like walked in. He's like, "Yep, that's gas."
Yeah.
I
It was
learned how bad my nose was that day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so this was like definitely super scary, but we kept practicing there because we had no other options.
Well, we started looking.
We started looking, and eventually we did get the notice that, hey, a restaurant is moving in. And
Yeah.
it was like, we have plenty of time. Like, we thought we'd have plenty of time. And they were like actually pretty quick with the construction. Like every week we'd come in. And it
Yeah,
was
they
like,
were
something like
so
a-
nice. They liked our. They didn't like. They
were wicked
You know,
nice.
they were so nice. You know.
Yeah, we're actually like, we met them and like we said like, hey, we rent upstairs. We know you guys are moving in here. Like, is it okay if we stay while you renovate essentially? Because they gutted it.
yeah, completely.
And they
All
were
those
like, yeah,
mousetraps
absolutely. And
gone.
they were super nice about it. Like every week we became more and more friendly with them to the point where I was like, maybe they won't ask us to leave. Like
Maybe,
had hope.
they'll let us stay upstairs.
like maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. But
Maybe
like
we'll get free food.
I get it. Like they were running like a full on business and we were there kind of we were only there once a week to be fair. But
We
the other
became
bands
the mice.
yeah, the other bands were there more often, and it was kind of getting at least close to dinner times, either at the beginning of it, or at the end of it. So I get it, and they asked us to leave, so we kept our eyes and ears out, and we eventually had to move on.
And the next place that we went from there was actually my parents' house. So
Yeah, we didn't find anything.
We
for a
didn't
We
while.
find
practiced in the garage for a couple months.
we used to like practice in the garage in some of our older bands. Like one of
Yeah.
our bands that we had, me and Ben, was the Frauds, and we used to practice in my garage. But my garage was really messy, so like we cleaned out the garage. And we set everything up, and it was a little bit of a pain because there was not a lot of
So
space.
small. We had to play in a line. Like I had the drums all the way at the back of the garage facing out, and then Ben would stand in the middle, and then Bobby would stand like with his back to the outside, and we would basically just both be looking at Ben. Like that was the
Yeah,
only
yeah,
way
yeah.
to set up.
Yeah, and I mean, this was like around the time where we're like COVID was starting to like get to the point where people were actually doing things again.
And
we
this
were
was the
like,
summer.
this was the
summer of 21.
So we're thinking like, okay, we're actually gonna have to start playing shows. So we started preparing for that. Like I went ahead and bought my my vocal pedal, the infamous vocal pedal. So I have a pedal
the
that
fourth
does
band member.
vocal harmonies, and we kept joking about it being the fourth band member.
Yeah,
It is.
it's at least like 2/3.
It's at least 2/3 of the band. I mean, it really helps a lot because we don't have to worry so much about like, practicing our harmonies and stuff.
Yeah.
Even though like we've gotten a lot better.
It gives it a cool like robotic effect.
yeah.
I like the effect that it does.
A little bit of a Bon Iver kind of
Well,
fills
Yeah,
the
it
room.
gives it like the Imogen Heap like almost like a vocoder sound.
And also at the end of the day, we are a 3-person band.
Yes, we are.
So like
And we want to keep
we
it
can
that
only
way.
have 3 vocals, and if we want thicker like melodies within there or just textures, like the pedal helps us with that because that will add 3 additional or 2 additional. I forget.
It can do,
But
like,
no
4.
matter what, it basically doubles it.
And I think that one of the challenges of starting this band with a 3-piece, because we decided pretty much from the beginning we don't want to do more than 3 because
we toyed with the idea, and then like 1 month in, we're like, do we really want to go through and find another guitarist and then have to deal with that?
like our chemistry was just like it worked. We felt like we were really productive at this point. We got a lot done. We were becoming best friends, and like we were like having a great time. We're like, we don't want to like mess this up.
Did we just become best friends?
Did we become best friends?
become best
Do you guys want to go play karate in the garage?
Like literally, we would go to practice with, and Ben like bought me like Beyblades, and we would like have Beyblade.
Yeah, we played
battles.
Beyblades at practice. Because that was like that was a Secret Santa gift.
was a
That's
Secret
what it was.
Santa
Whatever
gift.
happened to those? I want to play with them.
I still have them. They're at my house.
Well, you got rid of the arena though.
yeah, the arena was
Yeah.
it was really dirty from the old band space.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, this was that was the Christmas that we were in the Chinese food restaurant.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
even just sitting there, it had like a layer of filth.
But at this
from
point,
like 2
like
months of just being there.
we started getting a lot closer though as like as a trio because we started like hanging out a lot more, and we started doing things like outside of the band together.
Yeah.
Which was like we never really did that in our last band. As much, but we were getting drinks
Yeah.
together and like hanging out and like getting together, having fires.
Well,
and
because
stuff.
this is like, this is like the year everyone was like stuck inside with COVID restrictions for like a long time, and then it opened up a little bit so you could see some of your friends, but like not really go out to like stores and stuff. Like I remember like at a certain point it was like you could see other people, but you couldn't go like no like bars were open or anything. So like this was the only time we had to like do fun stuff, you know. So we would come into practice and then we would just kind of like hang out for a few hours,
Yeah.
you know.
We used to have a
and then we
problem,
play
we
like
kept
1 or 2
talking.
songs.
Which is why we started this.
yeah, I mean,
so we
this
can
is-
get our talking out of
Yeah.
the way.
we started this podcast. We talk so much, and we were like, let's just record it and call it a podcast. You brought up a good point, Ben, because like we were like, I don't know, COVID really changed at least my perspective on like appreciating your friends and stuff, and like I felt like before, maybe it's just age, but like we were just going through the motions of just like life and blah blah blah, and like oh whatever, can't do this, can't do that, and then all of a sudden it's like oh wow, we have like now that I can't hang out with my friends, like I think it made at least me personally like appreciate it more.
Same.
And so every minute we were together, it was like,
Yeah.
this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
this is great. Because we know what it's like to be without it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where the band name came
That's
from,
where the band-
actually. That's what
Yeah.
we based the band name around the idea of when you don't have friends, like when you're without like your normal life, what do you do? And for us, the answer to that question was starting this band, writing music.
Gave us something to work on that, we know eventually everything will reopen and we'll be ready for when that moment comes, and we have something to keep us busy and going in the meantime.
Yeah. We used to say like, okay, so what are we going to call this band? We had no clue.
We made a list.
We
of
made a
ideas.
list.
Just
Yeah,
we
like
had a big list.
words.
Honestly,
Once
I
we
wanna-
realized this,
I want to go back and read that list again.
I do too. I
It's
gotta
been
find
a
it.
while,
And I
Some
mean,
good ones on there.
This was like around like the midpoint of the Cambodian restaurant, because I remember we were just trying to figure it out. And our first idea was like without. I think that was, or it was
It was
is
wasn't. Yeah, is slash wasn't.
wasn't.
That was
Yeah.
your idea, Alex. And then we came up with like without as like a kind of compromise for that. And we were like, we liked it, but it didn't really roll off the tongue as much. And I think I was in the shower and I was like just brainstorming ideas, and it went without popped in, and I just like sent it to you guys, and you guys both liked it. And I was
yeah,
like,
it was good.
all right, so we like this. We really wanted alliteration. That was our big thing.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
wanted the WW because we thought we were going to do the W/W
Yeah,
logo.
we were gonna keep the slash at
Yeah, we
first.
never even did that.
Yeah, we never did it.
Well, we
That
did
was
it for
very
like
important to
we
us.
made some like personal logos just for us, just like messing around with it, like putting the slash in between, and like we came up with some cool things. But it's one of those things. No one ever actually like really decided it. But once we started like promoting and putting things out there, we just dropped the slash. It
naturally
didn't make any more
evolved
sense.
Away,
like,
yeah, like we kind of like, I mean, over time, I think we kind of just like found our like style a lot more as we like played with different ideas.
Yeah.
Like for a while, we had that like bubble letter logo that like
Yeah.
we were into at the time, and
Oh,
then we
yeah,
kind of phased
yeah.
away from that.
we also had like a almost like post-hardcore, like very angular one.
Yes.
That was that was when we still had the slashes, so like those never got released anywhere, but like they were within like our email account and stuff. Like
Yeah.
they
I'll actually put it up on screen right now. This is our first logo idea, and we had the trees in the background
trees.
and the
I
slash.
still love the trees.
The trees are great. I mean, I'm more of a dinosaur person now. I'm more into the
Yeah,
dinosaur,
we got our dinosaurs.
which is a whole other story for a whole other episode. But yeah, so we basically like came up with When Without, and we liked it. We stuck with it, and yeah, that's kind of the meaning of it. Is like when without the world, when without what you thought was just something that you were owed, which is just friendship and family and being able to go out and do things. What do you do? And that's what happened for 2 years. We were without the normal life that we had been used to for so long.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where the name originated. So we had a name. Fast forward a couple months, we're practicing at my parents' house. We have like 9 songs or whatever, and
Yeah.
we're starting to talk about recording an album.
Talk about recording. It's the summertime, so like we can make do with the garage, but we talk about recording, and we're like, realistically, this isn't gonna work. Like
Yeah.
it's so small, the acoustics aren't that great. Like
And
we
had
need,
never
we need to
recorded.
figure this out.
I'd never recorded an album, like a full length album. I know Ben had done it in one of the previous bands you were in.
Yeah, a long time ago.
A long time ago. You never recorded an album either, did you?
Well, I recorded my parts for that previous Coulter album that we talked about,
Right.
but like
Yeah,
we never
It was never
finished it.
Yeah.
So like I'd say I like halfway did. You know what I mean? Like I went through the motions of portions of it. But beyond that, no, I've only ever recorded like an EP
yeah.
or
same.
maybe a single. So I was really, really looking forward to like, wow, right out the gate,
Full
we
length.
can do a full album. This is amazing. Like I'm so excited. We just got to figure out how to do it and where to do it.
We eventually, I think I was on Facebook one day, and I just saw this random person who now we're pretty good friends with, posting saying, "Hey, like I, need another band to help fill a space in Lowell. Like, let me know if you're interested." And I was like, hopped on it right away.
Yeah.
And we got so lucky, because man, was it a great spot. We have a whole video of us moving in that you can check out on our YouTube channel, and it took a while to like get everything kind of like finished off, but it was like, close by to where we're used to practicing, right in
We
the
have
heart
our
of
own
Lowell.
parking lot.
Our own parking lot.
And I remember my favorite thing, and this is like just so sad when you think about it, is we walked in and I was like, oh my God, there's actual lights
Yeah.
Yeah.
and there's heat,
Yeah.
and there's air conditioning and there's paint on the walls. I was like, oh my God, this is a real building.
Yeah.
Like we have a door that has its own deadbolt that probably can't get kicked in. And like this room all to ourselves with lights and electricity
And paint. Granted, it was lead
everything.
paint, but
And its
it was
own
paint
bathroom.
nonetheless.
Baby steps.
Baby
it has
steps.
its own bathroom, and it was just
I tell you what, the best part about that space was the shower, which we never used.
Yeah, it had a shower in
but
it.
we were really excited about the shower because we were just like, oh, we'll go to the gym, we'll come back here to band practice, we'll shower.
yeah.
And we never used it because when you turned on the shower, it just like the floor was at a decline, so
Yeah,
the
the floor
water
was
just
built
It went
an
away
angle.
from the drain.
Yeah.
it just flowed into the band room,
Yeah.
and we were like, oh, we
It
can't
flows
use
straight
this.
out under the bathroom door.
So it became a vocal booth slash
Storage
room.
But it was still great having it. Like it was actually, so it was in this building,
Yeah, the
but
building we're in
somewhere
now.
a different area of this building. And the room itself was like, if you looked at it top down, it was a big square, but because that bathroom shower took up a corner of it, the usable space was like an L. So, but there's plenty of space there. We split it with the other band. We kind of like carved it so it was just like one column. They had one half, we had the other, and then the bottom part of the L became like what you're seeing right now, the hangout, the coffee table, the futon. We had a fridge. That's where people just came and hang.
I think that period of time where we were just working on that band room was one of my favorite like few month periods of my life because
Same.
Yeah.
we would go after work, we'd meet up there, we'd get some pizza, and we would just like sit down and like chill out and then like work on this basically glorified fort that we were building.
That's a great way
Yeah,
to
it's
put it.
basically-
We made a
Yeah.
friggin' fort.
We had a fort. We kept like comparing it to like we were kids and we felt like we were building a fort in the woods and everything. And we decorated it. We made it really comfy. We got rugs. It was home. Like
Yeah.
it was comfy.
I had so much fun, like, because this was in the summer,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember, excited, like, every day after work for, like, a week straight, we would
Mm.
meet up, and this room had these big, giant windows.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We were really afraid about how much sound they would leach, because...
There's apartment buildings right
Yeah, it's
behind
basically
the
a
building.
it was the windows. It was on the back side of this building. It was windows, essentially a driveway with like a couple parking spots, and then another building right there. It was all apartments. So we were worried about it. So we were thinking maybe we should make some sort of, I know it's not a perfect solution, but some sort of sound deadening solution. And we basically made our own gobos. So
If you don't know what that is, it's like in recording studios, like they have like big, like blankety looking cubes that like
Yeah, that
you put
direct the
between
sound.
people. They were like, some people call them go-betweens, became gobos. Yeah, it's just to block the sound. And we built them from scratch.
We built them. So I remember we went in there, we measured the windows, and then I like got a piece of paper out and we started like sketching stuff.
Yeah.
And we like went to Home Depot and bought these like, we're trying to be cost effective, right? Because we don't want to spend too much money. So we got like the longest 2x4s that we could find, which were like 12 feet long. And like I put them in the back of the truck and they're like hanging out
Yeah.
so much further than I thought they would. So I was like, we can't drive with these. So we had to go to his house first, which was like 2 blocks away. So I'm like driving like 10 miles an hour. And I see like the boards like flopping up and down. I'm like, they're gonna snap.
And we had to cut them.
We like we like made some like preliminary cuts.
Yeah.
But then brought them all to the band space and spent a couple days basically just making squares.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were crooked and
Oh, the,
we
the
got
wood
bent
was
wood.
terrible.
Yeah. We
oh my
bought
god.
bad 2x4s.
This, I mean,
Yeah.
that period of time was notorious of like lumber shortages and lumber issues, and like we got caught up in it too.
It was
we paid
expensive,
like
yeah.
double, triple price, and half the boards were so warped that I ended up having to go back
Mm-hmm.
and get like deck screws that were like 6 inches long.
to fix the crookedness.
to screw in it. We had to get your impact drivers. The
Yeah,
only way we
yeah.
could get it in there on like the highest setting, and I'm just like, and
My-
like it still was crooked.
My favorite part though was once we got those frames together, our ratchet like but amazing
They
system
actually worked. I'm not gonna lie.
I think you came up with this idea, and it was a brilliant idea. It was fantastic. We had we punched little holes.
Yeah.
We punched little holes into the moving blankets that we had bought, and we put what were those called again?
Oh, we put rivets in it.
We had
no,
rivets.
not rivets.
Yeah, we riveted
Yeah,
it.
we
I
riveted.
guess it is. Yeah, it's the rivets that make like
Yeah.
just the hole, so like you could like on a shower curtain, like
Yeah.
those metal things. We punched their own holes and then pressed the metal on it,
And
so we had nice holes there.
Oh my god! And then we put screws, hooks into the
The inside of the frame.
It was very taut, or at least until like the moving blankets started to rip apart.
Yeah,
They weren't meant for this.
And we put it up and boom, boom, it doesn't fit. So we had to like hammer it into the freaking window when we went to practice.
But eventually, they looked really good.
They
you
did
know?
look
they,
fantastic.
They were like, it was these nice soundproofing squares that covered right over the windows.
Yeah.
You know?
And it kept out peeping
Yeah, the
Toms.
added benefit was like because this room just had like kind of crappy blinds that were like bent and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would always keep them closed and turn it. But when we left, we could always make sure we had the big moving blanket up so nobody could peek inside and like see all the expensive equipment we had because we didn't know that if this area was going to be secure or not.
We
It
talk a
ended up
lot
being
about these soundproofing frames. I mean, we talk
I
about
loved
this
them.
all the time because
It
it was
was
such
so
a big
much
part of
fun.
our life.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we made these. We crafted these things.
Yep.
And I think once we did that, we really felt like the band room was like ours. And then we were like, let's make an album.
And
Let's
we were
do
ready-
it.
Ready to roll.
So we borrowed some sound equipment from a recording studio that we're friends with, and we went into this with a pretty broad stroke game plan of like, let's just record all the drums in one day, let's record all the guitars in one day, let's record all the bass in one day. And it was really, really fun. But the first day of recording, we had, prepped for a few months. It was November, and we decided that we were going to get a box of Joe from Dunkin's. And it was bad idea.
Amazing but terrible idea at the same time.
Because me and Alex got there a little early, and Ben was like a little late. So we like just were waiting for Ben. We're drinking cup of Joes. And I'm having one. Alex having one.
We're just shooting the shit, talking game plans,
Yep.
but also just kind of hanging.
We're excited.
Saturday morning coffee.
Saturday morning
essentially.
coffee. All of a sudden, the box of Joe is like a 2/3 empty, and
I'm
Ben
starting to
shows
go like
up,
this.
and me and Alex
Yeah,
are
show
literally.
up and you guys are like shaking, being like, okay, so we're gonna record the whole album right now. You know it's gonna be great.
Okay, so Alex is gonna get the drums. We're gonna record the whole album. It's gonna be great. We're gonna
Yeah.
I remember Ben walked in and he was like either like didn't feel good or had trouble sleeping or like I don't remember the
something
reason.
went horribly wrong.
Something
Your
went
alarm
wrong,
didn't go
and
off or
I
something.
just
Yeah.
remember the outcome was that he was late and like 300% more tired and quiet than he normally is.
Yeah.
So like he walks in like at like 25% capacity, and we're at like 300%
yeah.
capacity.
Yeah.
Like I'm going so fast that I can like taste colors and like.
You literally said that day too.
And I'm like, all right, Alex, let's
There's,
record the
like,
drums.
I just don't want to
Let's
deal with these
record the
people right now.
drums.
Like,
But then we start recording, and like Alex is like, you're like Pink, which the tempo is probably like da na na na, and we're like da na na. Yeah, so I mean, we recorded the album there, and we're gonna get into the album. I mean, that's a whole story within itself. I mean, we have a documentary that we're making about it. But
let's go on the Patreon.
just go on the Patreon, check out the documentary. At some point, it'll be released. But for now, we were in that space for about a year, right? So we
Pretty
got,
much a year exactly.
yeah, we got very comfortable there.
Very.
Super comfortable. I mean, it was home at that point. And just a little bit of context, there was it was a big space, and there was always kind of this like, just like the Cambodian restaurant, there was this kind of
same
this
thing.
fear that it would eventually get sold to a tenant who would come in and kick us out.
And it kind of did.
It kind of did.
It did get sold to someone that came in and was making an event space. So we were right back in the situation of someone's here, we'll probably get kicked out.
Yeah.
But we'll be here while they build. But that actually
Yeah, we
ended up working
haven't.
out pretty good. So instead of renting directly from the landlord, we ended up subletting from that person that came in.
Yep.
And because they were creating an event space, they loved having us there.
Yeah.
It was very amicable relationships back and forth, and like
We cut their rent down a little bit.
cut their rent down. We were in talks about like, oh, when you guys open, like maybe we can put events on too. And actually, they brought that up, not even
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. They wanted us to
So
play music
it was
at the
good,
events.
but it unfortunately got cut short. Not even of ours or their doings. It was the city that
Yeah.
came in, and while they were trying to get their licenses and stuff, for whatever reason, I don't even really know, but they said we could not be there anymore, and we had to leave.
Something to do with they got to tear a wall down, and that wall just so happened to be our wall.
Yeah, they had
I
to
don't
tear
even
down
know.
our wall.
I really don't even know why.
Yeah.
But
Something to do with our shower being handicapped.
It was the bathroom. Yeah, they needed access to the bathroom.
Yeah,
you know?
so our shower ended up being our undoing.
yeah, and it was one of those things where like, yeah, it kind of stinks, but like if I was in her position, like I would kick us out too, because like that's her business.
Yeah, well,
that's
they were
her
forced to.
business. You know, like
It
she
was
put
a
all this money
mutual-
into it.
Yeah.
So
It was a very not mutual, but it was a very like good ending, I guess you could say.
yeah, like
we're still friends.
we are
and-
still friendly with them, and I'm sure like actually playing a show over there might happen someday.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out. But we did have a couple like a week period of like freak out mode. Of,
Oh,
like,
we were freaking
They
out.
wanted us. The city wanted us out in like 2 weeks. And we're like, well, we have a
we had a
month to
lease.
month
We had a real
contract
lease,
to the
you know?
end of the. Yeah, we had a real lease with signatures and everything,
Yeah.
down payments and security deposits. So we're like, we're here to the end of the month. Like,
Yeah.
too bad. So we took our time, but we're scrambling. And I just went on like this spree of like
Yeah.
I went on Facebook groups. I went on.
Props to Alex. He
yeah.
took the helm. Me and Ben did nothing.
Well, I was like freaking out because at this point, like I live somewhere else than when I originally lived, so like I don't have a place to put my drum set. So like
Yeah.
this is almost like a storage issue for me now too. Of like, what am I gonna do? Leave in my car?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm texting people that I know previously that play music to see what they're at. I'm scouring Craigslist, and that's what ended up being great. Scrolling through Craigslist, and I come across one, and I'm like, wait a second, like that picture looks familiar, and I click it, and it's this building.
It's the
I'm
same
like,
building.
and I look at it, like, this must be old, right?
And the
This must
building's
be
not
old.
that big.
No, it's not
like-
that big, but I'm like, this must be an old post. And I look, and it's like 2 days ago. I'm like, something is not adding up here. So you know what? Shoot my shot. I'm going to send an email to it. I don't even know who it's going to. It may be going to the same people we were just leasing from. And I was like, hey, like, I'm not sure if you're aware or if you're in charge of this, but, you know, we need to leave the space next door. We love the building. We would love to stay. Like, reach over to me, yada, yada, yada. And I get a call, like, 12 hours later, like the next morning,
From our landlord.
the landlord,
that we
and he-
already knew.
that we already knew because we had rented from him and then stopped and we were subletting. But so I got back in contact with him and he was totally down for it. He's like, yeah, I got a room. It's a little bit bigger. You know, meet up such and such a day.
A little more expensive.
We'll take a look at it. And I was like, okay, I know it's going to be more expensive because it's bigger and we're no longer subletting. Let's see where it goes. So walk over here about a week later. He shows me the space and instantly I was like, if we can like talk the numbers, this is going to be great. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's this room that you see, which like of the camera, I'd say you're pretty perfectly seeing about a quarter of the room.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
So there's like another quarter right off camera, and then there's the back corner, and then there's what's behind there, right? So we have this whole big spot. Other side of this wall, there's another room about the same size that we dubbed the lobby, which is like useful to us, but it's just kind of there.
It's like an empty space that we can use when we need it.
Yeah,
But
and
we
then
don't, we
there-
can't store our
Keep stuff
stuff.
in
And then
there.
there's a bathroom down the hallway. So it ended up working out.
I
like-
definitely miss the old space, but like
I do too.
This spot's nice because it has rug floor.
Yeah.
so
It does have
it's-
rug flow that sounds better.
It sounds a lot better. We got like windows that we can get like light in, and there's no apartments there, so we don't have to worry about sound.
Yeah, we're on
Yeah.
the other side of the building, so we don't have to worry about sound anymore. We have more drywall than brick, so the sound quality of this room is better, especially with the rug.
Yeah.
And it's
And it
just been
came with a
great.
desk.
And it came with a
Yeah, it
desk,
came with the
which
desk.
I mean, you can kind of see where my mic is clipped, but
Our
this is
producer
a big,
Fabs is
it's a
over there
big
now.
L desk, and so now we have it set up for when we do get back into recording. It's just going to be so much easier.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have to sit over this coffee table and like have a
Yeah.
laptop and stuff. Like it'll be all really nice and easy. So
Yeah.
we were lucky. I do miss the old space, but I think I miss it more in terms of the memories made there.
Yeah, I agree. We
Whereas
had some
this
good
room is
times.
more functional.
Yeah, this room is a little bit better.
And
you
we
know?
actually have a view. If you look at our perfect angle, you can see the sun building.
Which is
Yeah.
the building on our album cover. And
Yeah.
one of the things that was different about this room is that we needed more bands to like kind of equal our payments for rent. So we got a couple. We found some bands that were willing to hop on. So we're squeezing three bands into this one little space here. And we still really needed to bring the price down even more. So we asked our buddy Sam, who does all of our art, go follow him on Twitter and Instagram, the Goblin Fury.
Shout out to Sam.
He's got great. Oh, the battery died.
All right, you can put up some cool pictures. Can we have like a
Camera
like
died
a picture
'cause-
montage?
Yeah.
I guess Bobby didn't think ahead of time, but that's okay because we're pretty much just wrapping up.
I don't
Yeah.
have any more batteries. It's the only battery I have now. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened to the other one.
Yeah.
But so
Learning curve.
you're just gonna have to like watch this footage of us of our documentary while we're talking.
Yeah. You can overlay some nice art.
Or it'll just be like
know?
the logo or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see.
I just want to say you heard it here, folks. Don't play music. It's hard to find a space.
It is. It's hard to find.
Don't
a
ever
space.
play drums. Don't play guitar either. That's kind of loud.
Before you make a band, find a space.
Yeah, or just
Yeah.
be one of those guys that makes it all on your computer or something. 'Cause you don't have to leave your house.
Yeah. Make music that you can listen to on headphones.
Yeah.
You can play harmonica because that fits in your pocket.
Yeah. We only get
That's-
one key though.
Oh, they
buy
make
multiple.
you can buy a little set. Even then, you still just have a little like
set,
you just
yeah.
have a little like binder full of microphones. You know.
Yeah,
or
it's tough being in a
harmonicas.
band. It's tough, but
Yeah.
you know, we make it work. We have a lot of fun. I mean, that's always the first thing for us is like fun, and yeah, we're comfortable now in the space we're in, and hopefully we get to stay here for a long time. But you never know, so we're always kind of keeping our eyes open for other places just in case, like, you know, this doesn't work out. whenwithoutband@gmail.com to reach out to us, ask questions, we'll answer them on the show, and go check out our Patreon. Like Alex said, we can you can get great perks on there. Just go to patreon.com/whenwithout, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're gonna be bringing to you in this next year. So definitely follow along, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Sweet. Peace out.
Peace.